Hello. A lot has happened on the Dawn SMP, and while I've gotten the planned plot stuff on camera, the spur-of-the-moment character building I sometimes miss. I want to thank Rains for letting me use the audio from his VOD, because I think this conversation was important. As for the visuals, I wanted to show what my day-to-day life is like on the SMP, for those curious. That being said, I think this would be a great video to put on in the background, since the audio is the important bit. Oh, and I just want to take a moment to say that according to YouTube statistics, one of you is not subscribed. My reach is pretty small, but I'm so close to 100 subs, so I'd really appreciate if you checked out to see if you're subbed. Thank you!
You know how I feel about the borders.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
I
do
also
anything.
know how you feel about manners.
Yeah, alright, that's fair. Look, I'm not gonna do anything about the borders, I promise.
Good.
I just,
Good.
as long as you know how I feel about them.
I know how you feel. I've been having so much fun strip mining lately. I think it's the efficiency.
I'd love some efficiency, but I sort of lost all my levels in the duel.
Yeah,
Like
sorry about that.
27 beautiful levels.
It's been ruled that if you accidentally dig into somebody else's faction, they can't do anything about it unless you go above ground.
Excuse me?
Oh, we ruled that in the early days. Worm and I were digging around and we were like, I don't know where I am anymore. I don't know if I'm under you or under me. And we decided it was okay, until further notice at least. I don't know if it applies if you're like deliberately digging to get to them, but I know that I have a few places that link over with other people that I'm sort of keeping tabs on.
It may be useful to have ways into... No, maybe I should... Maybe I shouldn't put that out into the world.
Yeah,
We'll leave
maybe
that for
not.
another time.
Because unless situations change, there'd be no reason to. Diamonds are cool and shiny, and they make me feel safe.
I'm just not finding diamonds where I am.
Maybe the world doesn't think that you deserve diamonds.
That would be unfortunate. I only want diamonds to defend the interests of the faction.
What do you view as the interests of the faction?
Right now, making sure that everyone is safe and can be trusted. As you know, as I've told you before, agendas change, self-interests change. But honestly, as someone who can't remember themselves, I like peace. Peace is nice.
Peace is nice. I had a question to ask you. You used to be a fighter in your old world.
Yeah.
Did you fight for the people?
That could be a loaded question. What do you mean by the people exactly?
Those who have no power. Those who cannot defend themselves.
I remember that I fought for peace.
Fighting for peace sounds almost as counterintuitive as orders to keep us all together.
Sometimes the only way to stop violence is through more violence. When you fight wars, things get a bit cloudy. There's a saying where if you kill a murderer, the number of murderers don't change, right? Have you heard that phrase?
No, but
Okay.
I understand the meaning of it.
Yeah, well, where I'm from, war is everywhere.
I hear that.
So if you kill one person waging war, there is still benefit, because when I fought in the wars, I fought because I wanted them to end. There are some people who wanted the wars to keep going because war brought them benefit. When you fight in wars, all you see is death and blood and stuff, right? But there are people who benefit in war because those people get land or wealth or titles or respect.
Alright, I'll take your word for it.
I just wanted the wars to end because I had a family once. I can't remember what happened to them, but I remember that the war affected them a lot and I didn't want it to affect them anymore.
Okay. That's a good enough answer. Thank you for answering my question. It was not my intention to bring back any negative memories, but I felt the need to know.
Honestly, I prefer negative memories over nothing, because at least I'm remembering something.
I just know that the other day when you asked me questions, it brought back things that I would have preferred to stay buried.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm sorry. You can always not answer me if you don't want to.
I know. I figured that out after the fact. After I was like, wow, I don't know why I felt jumpy, I guess. And I was like,
Yeah.
why do I feel like this? And then I remembered the advice I gave to Worm, and I should practice what I preach.
I'd love to hear more about Worm's story. I feel like Worm's interesting.
Worm is amazing and incredible, and I love them very much. And you can hear more about Worm's story as long as you don't make Worm uncomfortable. But Worm sometimes
never
has
want
a hard time saying no to people, and I was really surprised by how much they said. And I don't know if it's a good thing. So just be careful about that, okay?
I feel like Worm needs to be protected. I don't know why. And I know that I have no responsibility or obligation to protect Worm. Worm isn't even part of our faction, but I mean, you know, Worm's the youngest out of you guys, right?
Yes.
One thing I
Worm's the
do
youngest.
remember very vividly is that I wanted to protect children from war. As a child who grew up in war, that's not a fate that I would envy upon anyone, you know?
Yeah.
I just wish I could remember my own story. Like, it's coming back in bits and pieces, but it's not good enough. Like, I just want to be able to remember. I wish I could remember.
Maybe one day you will.
It's hard not knowing who you are, you know? Like, I know parts of my backstory, and I don't know why those parts come back to me, but it's all blur. Like, it's all just a massive blur.
Yeah.
I wish I could understand why.
I don't know why you came through not retaining memories.
Well, at least the others sort of remember. I wouldn't wish this fate upon anyone. Not knowing who you are is tough.
Yeah. But you're finding yourself. You're deciding who you're going to be, even if you don't know who you were. That's important.
This life is very peaceful.
Yeah.
I like that it's peaceful here. I don't
Me
have
too.
I don't have to worry about anything.
Fighting for fun and fighting for your life are very different, but
Very
it's
different.
a very, very good different.
Yeah. I just hope that the peace lasts.
Me too.
Let me ask you something, Shay. What do you stand for?
In general,
Yeah. Like, what you believe and what you stand for can be very different. What do you stand for? I told you what I stand for. I stand for peace.
stand for peace.
I fight to end fighting. I fight so that everyone can get along and be together. What do you
I
stand
don't
for?
think I've ever thought of that before. I don't think I've ever had the luxury to think of that before.
Okay, then let me ask you a different question. Because
Sure.
now, knowing a bit about your backstory, it'll probably be easier to answer. If you don't know what you stand for, what will you fall for? What will you die for?
I have time and time again thrown myself in the way of danger to protect those who will not protect themselves, to help those who need it, to fight for those not strong enough to fight. I have fallen 100 times to try and help them stand, and I will fall 100 times more if it keeps them safe.
You sound like a knight too. You sure you don't know what a knight is?
I don't think our world had them.
Well, if they did, you'd definitely be one of them.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, it is a compliment. Knights, what they should and shouldn't be gets clouded sometimes, but ultimately they're protectors. They should be protectors.
That's what I am. I'm a protector.
I guess the difference that I see between you and me right now is the fact that you'd put the needs of the few over the needs of the many. You'd protect the people. Whereas me, I choose everyone over just one. You know? Like,
I think
if I have to
that's-
choose between the faction and between someone, I choose the faction because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
I think that is a luxury that you have.
What do you
I
mean?
have never known a many that's worth outweighing the few before.
Look, the many usually aren't worth more than the few. There is a bigger picture, which is, and I don't mean to sound cold, but sometimes pawns have to be sacrificed so that the king can live, so that the king can rule. And I don't mean to say that one life is worth more than another. I just mean to say that at some point everyone's life, right, you have to see them as, I don't want to say numbers, but they're checkers on a checkerboard. And when it comes down to it, a kingdom is worth more than one person, even the king themselves. I don't know if you know what that means, but
No, not a clue. I've been lost for the past paragraph or so, but I'm just letting you talk and hoping I figure it out via context clues.
look, okay, I'll put it into context here, right?
Okay.
That you might be able to understand better.
Sure.
And I don't mean this to sound cold or anything, but I mean, the truth is, when it comes down to it, if it comes between choosing me or maintaining peace over all of the Dawn SMP, if you were a knight, if you were me, it'd be your duty and your obligation to choose the Dawn SMP over me, no matter how much you value
Yes.
me.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's just the way that I see things.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like,
Those are definitely things I can understand.
my interests don't outweigh the needs or interests of the Dawn SMP.
Okay.
That's all.
That answers my question and many more that I didn't realize even needed to be asked, so thank you.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Some of the things you said about the way your world used to work reminded me too much of the place I came from. And I needed to know what the differences were, I suppose. I don't know. It reminded me of things that I didn't even realize scared me so much. And I wanted to make sure that I understood. The walls. You said the what was it? A city was a place surrounded by walls.
A kingdom, yeah.
A kingdom surrounded by walls.
Oh, I guess that's a lie. A kingdom is like the Dawn SMP, right? What would you classify as the Dawn SMP? Everything that stays in the borders? Everything
I
within the
think I'd
borders?
classify it as the whole world.
The whole world. Okay.
Everything that is the Dawn SMP. Inside the borders is the civilized area. Outside the borders is untouched and unprotected, the Badlands. But the Dawn SMP is everything.
Okay, well here's what I'll say. Everything in the borders would be classified as a kingdom
Okay.
in my old world.
But those aren't walls. They're borders.
Yeah,
There's a
but
big
there'd be walls though.
Okay,
Like, if
and
there
you
was
said that was to keep things out, to keep the mobs out.
mobs, other people, depends.
Yeah.
Depends. Like, because we were just one kingdom. There was more than one kingdom in our
Okay.
in our lands, in our world,
'Cause-
and not everyone got along with each other. Like, you know how I said we had treaties with the covens of witches that lived around us?
Yes.
We
I
didn't
think
have
so.
we didn't have treaties with some of the neighboring kingdoms. There was one in particular that we'd been fighting since before the Age of Heroes. We were mortal enemies, I guess you could say.
Oh.
I couldn't tell you why, and yeah, as I said, one of my dreams was to achieve peace, which involved either finding something to fair trade peace, or just wiping out the other side, or making them lose enough that they decided the rest of the war wasn't worth it. But I mean, generations upon generations have been fighting for so long that didn't really seem like an option.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've completely lost track of what you were saying because I was struggling to remember how to breathe. So
You're okay?
that's what's going on with me.
Let me ask you a different question, Shay.
I will allow you to ask.
Are you afraid of me?
I don't know. I think a little bit.
Why?
You are the only person in this world who can stand against me. If you decided that what you wanted was to take me down, you would have the power to do so. And I would be able to fight back, but you could, if you wished, be a threat to me. You don't entirely know who you are, and given what you've said about the world you came from, given how scared hearing about your kingdoms makes me, I'm a little scared that you'll figure out who you are and it will not be a good thing.
So you're afraid of who I am and who I could be?
I suppose that's a way to say it.
Yeah, go.
In general, most of the time, I'm not afraid of you. But the conversation that we're having is,
Frightening.
I suppose, it's definitely giving me a fear response. And it's not the sort of fear response that I can run from. I mean, I could drop the conversation, but that wouldn't,
Get rid of
you
the
know, most
fear.
of the time you run, you're running from something. You're running for a reason. This would just be avoidance. It wouldn't be tactical. I don't think you in general scare me. The things we're talking about scare me. But when you asked if I was scared of you,
That scared you.
I'm not good with emotions. I don't talk about my emotions. I'm not really in tune with them, I guess. I know rage. I know the oh god run for your life response. I know the desire to protect. When you asked if I was scared of you, my heart fluttered. Like I don't know. That's the only answer I can really give you. I wouldn't think of myself as scared of you, but I appear to have had a fear response.
Okay. Well, let me tell you something. If you ever question whether you can trust me, I have something for you to ask me. Non-cred.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if I told you exactly about what the code was in the journal. I had a bit of a guess as to what the code sort of was. So the code in the journal that the journal spoke of said that it was lines in the old language that carried specific meanings.
Okay.
Obviously, because my language is now the old language here, at least from what I think, using my
A
old...
language that no one else seems to know.
Yeah, it could be useful. So non-crate, it means literally, I believe, but what we can use it to mean is, can you be trusted? Can I believe?
Okay.
So if you ever doubt me, if you
I'll
ever
write this down.
if you ever doubt me, if you ever question whether I'm to be feared or trusted, say non-crate, and I'll have to answer honestly, because the code will only work if we answer honestly. We can't use it to lie to each other. And
Okay.
mich crave, that means trust me, that I am to be trusted.
Okay.
So if you ever question me, my intentions, you just ask non-crade, and yeah, I'll answer you truthfully. I'll either answer you with me crade, and if I don't answer with me crade, anything else, then you know. And obviously, like me crade, like trust me, can also be used in other contexts too. But like, if you ever say me crade, which means trust me, in any other context, then I'll know that no matter what, no matter how bad the situation looks, that I can trust you.
Okay. Good to know.
And for what it's worth, I do trust you. I know that I've been a little bit difficult to deal with, but I mean, I see us as kindred spirits, you and I. I feel like memories or no memories, that you and I feel like I can relate to you a lot.
I agree.
I feel like I can trust you with a lot of things. I don't know how trusting I was in my old world, but I just feel like I can trust you.
I feel like you understand me better than many of the other people here do. So I agree, and I thank you very much for providing me with something that can help me confirm whether or not I can trust you.
Yeah, and I just want you to remember that no matter what happens, like you and I, we're from the same faction.
Yes.
I need you to believe that I do have your best interests at heart.
I do.
No matter how harshly I speak of Sunny and Worm or anyone else, all I'm thinking about is the betterment of the faction and your well-being. Because right now, you're the one that I view needs to be protected. And I guess Worm to a certain extent. I can't explain why, but I mean, I just feel like, maybe as the youngest, I feel like Worm's innocence needs to be protected for as long as it can be. I know that you guys' world wasn't the best, so there's not much I can protect Worm from, but I mean, I just have that feeling. And when it comes down to it, whether you choose the faction or your friends, I'm telling you right now that I'm choosing the faction, even over my own self-interest, because my main goal is peace. I just want peace for the server.
Peace sounds nice.
You are the leader. You won fair and square. I did concede as well. So from here on out, you call the shots. You have the final call.
Okay.